Era empezó frío, sí. Nevó un poquito y ahora heladas.
Hello, Paul. Rainy, Lisa says hi. And Mike says hi. And Chris says hi. Everyone, and Carmen, and Neely, and Q, and Elise, everyone is saying hello to everyone. Oh, Chris, you could swirl the camera around so they can wave.
This is Rainey. I'm returning the hellos to everybody this morning.
Thank you, Rainey. Everyone heard you. This camera. Oh, fun with cameras. See, good morning, Laura. And good morning, Venerable Tenzin Lamo, Chitra. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Linda.
Hi, Patricia.
Sí, gracias, Ale.
So, so just to have a couple of announcements of some things that are coming up on Wednesday of this week. So just a few days away. Instead of Geshe-la's normal Lam Rim class, we will be doing a Guru Puja with Sog for Lama Zopa Rinpoche's swift return. It's the 49th day since his passing. Okay. And then Sakadawa is coming up as well. Hang on one second. Let me get to that. Phones are so tiny. Hang on. So Sakadawa is on June 4th. That's a Sunday. So for that, and Sakadawa's, it is, let's see, in which we honor Shakyamuni Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and parinirvana. And it begins, oh, I didn't know this. I'm learning something new here. Thank you, Donna, for posting this. Began May 20th and ends June 30th. But Sakadawa Duchen is on Sunday, June 4th. Did I say that right? Okay, good, thank you. And there will be, so that's our normal Sunday morning from 10:30 to 11:30, but the great news is there's going to be a lunch and social gathering afterwards provided by the center, so. Okay, and Donna's saying for the Sakadawa, we'll be doing prayers and practices instead of a teaching. So two upcoming events that hopefully you don't want to miss. It should be really great. And if you are on Zoom, I encourage you to turn your camera on, if at all possible. I understand if for whatever reason you can't, and that's totally acceptable. But if you can, please turn your camera on. Geshe Gelik loves to see everyone's beautiful faces and be able to interact with you a little bit more on Zoom. So he should be arriving shortly. Thanks, everyone. Is there anyone in the Gampa who would like to go out and hold the outdoor door for Geshe when he arrives? Because Lamala has an umbrella. She'll be having her hands full. I think someone's doing that one, but you can do this one. And when he arrives, just let everyone know that he's arrived. Perfect, thank you. And then, like I said, when he's done, just close it. Thanks. Thanks, everyone. We're all set. Hello, everyone on YouTube as well. We'll be starting momentarily. Geshe should be arriving shortly. So good morning, everyone, in person, on Zoom, on YouTube. It turns out Geshe is not coming in today. Everything's fine, but Lamala, Venerable Lamala, will lead us today in today's teaching, or prayers, or practices, whatever we're going to do. Stand by.
And I'm just going to go ahead and make this announcement now instead of at the end. So as Linda mentioned earlier, Wednesday night we're going to have a special event. We're going to do a Guru Puja marking the 49th day since Lama Zopa Rinpoche passed away. And Guru Puja, we're going to be changing how the seating is arranged here. So as many people who can stay as possible, that would, and help us to, it'll only take a few minutes if we have lots of hands. We can get the room rearranged. Thank you. And while I'm at it, making announcements, next Sunday is Sakadawa Duchen, which is the full moon day of the month of Sakadawa, and we'll have prayers and practices and some teachings next Sunday, and followed by a delicious lunch that is going to be catered. The Geshis are going to organize that for us, so we'll have a special celebration that. And both of these events are sponsored in part by all the donations that we received for the pujas for Lama Zopa Rinpoche's swift return. Thank you.
So should we start by doing some prostrations, you know, the way that Geshe-la usually does when he comes in? Okay. So I've had about 2 or 3 minutes to kind of prepare for this practice today. So let's start first by examining our mind. Is it positive, negative, neutral? If it's positive or neutral, then that's fine, of course. But if it's negative, it's very difficult to meditate. And Geshe-la has asked us to do meditation practice this morning. And he has taught that trying to meditate with a negative mind is like trying to wake the dead. So we're assuming that it's negative or scattered, excited mind. So we'll just try to remedy this by counting our breaths. So we start with an exhale. Inhale, count 1. Exhale, inhale, count 2. Then we continue until we have reached the number, which is our goal. It could be 3, 7, 21, whatever. And if we lose count, we just begin with square one. So let's begin by doing that. Breathe out. Breathe in. Count 1. Exhale. Inhale. Count 2. Now let's bring our attention back to the room. We can open our eyes. And so if you are able to choose a meditation object and stay on that object for 21 breaths, then you have attained the first stage of calm abiding. So by definition, in Tibetan, the word for meditation is kum. It's actually to set your attention on it. So you have to have a mental object in order to meditate. And you can use anything. You can use a color. You can use a light. One person told me when I was in teaching meditation 101 that he wanted to concentrate on his house where he was born, and that might be a little bit too much. Eventually, when you have a very powerful practice, you can monks meditate on a whole mandala. But in this case, we want to, in order to cultivate calm abiding, we just might choose one object, and the one object that is usually recommended is the holy body of Shakyamuni Buddha. But in any case, whatever works for you is what you should choose as your meditation object. Now, if your mind is still scattered, then you can do the 9-round breathing meditation practice. Geshe-la also says that what you can do is when a negative thought or any kind of distraction, even a virtuous thought, for example, I need to, since this is Sakadao, I need to make a donation to the center, something like that. Even that is an actual obstacle because it's taking your concentration, focusing away from your meditation object. For example, if it were like a candlelight or a flower or so forth. So you just let that go and then bring your mind back to the object. So Geshe-la has said that you can either do one of two things. If you're distracted, you can just let it go. For example, like if you had a bird in a cage and you're in the middle of the ocean on a ship and you let it go, it has nowhere to land. So eventually it comes back to the ship, maybe sits on the cage and comes back. So then that means that maybe your mind scatters to many objects of attachment, or maybe a negative object, whatever, something that happened to you. And then eventually, since there's nowhere to land, nowhere to go, eventually it will come back. And you'll go back to the meditation object. Another way is to be like a skilled swordsman who is faced with a skilled archer, and he is trying to, he is aiming arrows at you continuously, and your job is to focus your attention on those arrows and try to destroy them, cut them away with your sword, each one. And if you just take your focus away even for 1 second, then you could be hit by the arrow. So that's another way of trying to fix your attention on the meditation object, whatever it is. So the first stage of the 9 stages of calm abiding is mental placement. The experience is that you think that you have many, many thoughts, but it's just that you never noticed them before. So you don't have any extra thoughts just because you're on the first stage of calm abiding. The meditation engagement is tight focus because you're focused tightly on the object. The power is knowledge by hearing, because what you do is you've heard the teachings and you're trying to implement them. So the power of the first stage is knowledge by hearing. Tight focus on the object. You know, as I said, you know, if you completed the stage, if you can stay on the object for 21 breaths. The second stage of calm abiding is continuous focus. And the experience is that you think that, let's see, you get a sense of what it is when your thoughts are resting. So the stage is called continuous focus. And the power is contemplation, reflection. The mental engagement here, again, is tight focus because you're focusing tightly on that mental object. And you know that if you have completed this stage, then you can stay on the object as long as you can recite a mala of mantras. And the third stage is patch-like placement. And now it feels like your thoughts are exhausted, and the power is mindfulness. And you stay, the mental engagement is intermittent or interrupted focus on the object. And this mental engagement continues through the 7th stage. So it's always intermittent, interrupted focus. And mindfulness is the power. And the 4th stage is close placement. And in this stage, you never lose the object during the entire meditation period. And of course, it's the power of mindfulness is complete, and it's intermittent focus again, or interrupted focus. This is very difficult to do. Sitting and never losing the object, not even for a moment. So I can continue, but I'm just stop there. So in the beginning, what you do is you try to have very short sessions, like 5-minute sessions, for example. Because if you have longer sessions than 5 minutes, then you will not, as Geshe said, you will not want to go back to your cushion. You feel like throwing up. So you try to keep, you stop while your mind is still delighted, wanted to continue. So that's what you do. You actually just do frequent, many sessions, short sessions throughout the day. And then when your mind becomes more pliable, then you have longer sessions, but fewer. So that's how you begin your practice of calm abiding. Let's see. Okay, then there are certain points where you rely on dwelling in a pleasant area and so forth. Okay, being content, having few desires, getting rid of mental activities, pure ethics, and completely ridding your mind of desires and so forth. This is if you want to go and have a meditation retreat. So you want to have a dwelling in a pleasant areas, especially places where you have companions, and where it could be even in your own home, in your own little altar room, for example, or in your altar corner, whatever you can. It's perfectly fine to do it there. Okay, so we can talk about it all day long, but let's see, we probably need to do a practice. And there are many practices that you could do, but one of the ones that is, I don't know, a favorite is meditation on purification with light. And so I'm going to just do a condensed version of the purification with light. So first we start by sitting in our meditation posture. I didn't talk about that. Okay, so if you don't know what the 8 position, Virachana position is, then it doesn't matter. Just the point is to keep your back straight. That's the most important thing. But usually in this one, according to the stages of meditation by Kalama Shila by Lama Tsongkhapa, he quoted him in Lamrim Chenmo, Great Teachers and Stages of the Path to Enlightenment. See if I can remember. Okay, first you have your legs. Your legs are crossed, and they can be lotus or half lotus position. And your back is straight and erect. Shoulders are straight and even. Head is tilted forward, in line with the navel. Eyes are looking down at the tip of your nose. Your jaw, your lips are in the normal position. Your tongue is on the roof of your mouth. And your breath is going in and out quietly, silently, effortlessly. And the hands are not mentioned, but Geshe-la says that any additional teachings are like the quintessential teachings of the instructor. So he usually says left on, right, with thumbs touching. And he also says that the elbows are away from the torso, so and wind or air can go through. Okay, so now that you're in your meditation posture, bring your focus to your breath and just breathe normally and naturally, focusing on the complete duration of each inhalation and exhalation. And as with any Mahayana teaching or Buddhist practice, you start with an intention, positive intention for doing the practice. So whatever that is, you set your motivation. By doing this practice, may our minds be peaceful and calm in order to benefit all sentient beings. As you exhale, imagine that all your negative energy, past mistakes, sicknesses, pains, disturbed emotions leave your body with the breath. Visualize all this negative energy as black smoke. Send it out of this room, out the roof, to the sky, where it disappears completely. As you breathe out these negativities again and again, feel confident that you are gradually freeing yourself from all traces of negativities, faults, sicknesses, and delusions. As you inhale, imagine that all the positive energy in the universe enters your body with the breath in the form of pure, radiant, white light. Visualize this light flowing through your nostrils, down into your body, and to every cell, every atom, every organ. Your body gradually becomes clearer and clearer, lighter and lighter, more and more transparent. You feel more and more relaxed, light, and blissful. Continue to concentrate on this experience, breathing out the black smoke of your problems, illnesses, and negative energies, and breathing in the white light of purifying, blissful, good energy. If you are distracted, then simply observe the distractions without reacting or getting involved. Imagine that they too transform into black smoke and then send them out into space where they disappear completely. So that's about 5 minutes. So we can dedicate our practice, meditation practice. So that our minds can develop peace, stillness, in order to best benefit all sentient beings. So there are different types of meditation. That's more of a stabilizing meditation. And meditation doesn't always mean just sitting on a cushion. You can also meditate all day long, while you're walking, cooking, cleaning, working, and so forth. So the reason you want to develop calm abiding is so that you'll be able to stabilize your mind, concentrate so strongly on the object, in which case it would be the wisdom realizing emptiness. Because you need that strength of mind in order to be able to contemplate, keep your mind on the true reality, the way things really exist all day and all night. And that's the purpose of the practice eventually, because your goal is liberations from samsara. Your goal is to be liberated from all these negative emotions, to cultivate the virtuous ones infinitely. So as I said, it's not always a stabilizing them. You can analyze. So what you do, the practice is, you go to the teachings given by a qualified virtuous friend or instructor, and then you think about them, you read about them, you analyze them, you see how they would, how those teachings would actually be practiced, or how they are relevant to your way of life. And then if you find that they are true to yourself, you've analyzed them, then you can not only put them into practice, but also to incorporate them in your life. But if you find that it doesn't quite work for you, you might put it on a shelf. Probably not a good idea if the person is a qualified master that you have decided to, call them as your guru, then it's not a good idea to just think that the teaching was incorrect and it devaluing the teacher or whatever. You just set it aside and come back to it later. Or maybe it's something very difficult. I know someone who cannot even think about the different hell realms, because it's just too difficult for her to even think about it. It traumatizes her. And the purpose of going through the hell realms is not to scare you or whatever. One of the two causes for going for refuge, taking refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the causes to do so effectively and the best ways are, first one is to meditate on the suffering of the lower realms, the sufferings that we will probably have to endure, and the faith of conviction that the three jewels will protect us from those the lower realms and perfectly capable of leading us to liberation by showing us the path. So that's why we contemplate on the hell realms and the hungry ghost realms and the animal realms. We want to be sure to have a rebirth in a higher realm, like the human realm or the God realm, whatever, a celestial realm, so that we can do our practice. And the human realm is the best realm in order to do the practice, because the sufferings that we endure are not as devastating as those in the hell realms or in the hungry realms, hungry ghost realm. Even in the hungry ghost realm, there is possibility of learning the teachings, but the human realm is the best realm. And so, since we have received the perfect human rebirth and we have met the Dharma, then we have to make our life meaningful, purpose. We have made our life meaningful by coming here together and by trying to incorporate the teachings in our life and trying to understand them, trying to integrate them, analyze them. And so that's the purpose of the whole analytical meditation. So in other words, okay, maybe we've come to the teachings and we go from teaching to teaching to teaching. We've seen Geshe-la, we've seen all these visiting teachers and so forth, and we are hungry for the Dharma. But if we don't analyze them and really think about them and review them and think, is this really true? You know, how does this apply to my life? How does it apply to my family, to my, to my situation, to my experience? Then it's like, it's the same as going in one ear and out the other. That's why Geshe-la has been teaching sometimes the same thing, and Lama's Rinpoche also. It seems like they're repeating the same teaching over and over and over again. It's because we don't get it. We haven't gotten it, like impermanence. When someone passes away, especially a close friend or relative, then we immediately get it, but it disappears, eventually. The way the American Western culture is, we don't, the American culture is really pointed to the young and, to buying things and having a good happy time, having a happy life. We know we're going to die, but we don't know when we're going to die. It's certainly not going to be right now. It's not going to be tomorrow. It might be, next year. I'm too young, but then you can meditate and think, well, young people die, old people die. People who have 4th stage cancer may survive me. A butterfly who only lives for maybe one day may outlive me. They may be born today, but then, I may not live the next hour. You never know. So then when that happens, then we might have a realization of death or impermanence, or the certainty of death, but and the uncertainty of the time of death and so forth. But then again, it may not stay. So it's not really a realization. It's more like a blessing of the Guru when that happens. So when you analyze, you learn the teachings that say impermanence, and then you think about it, you integrate it, you analyze it, and you really get a mental shift, an aha moment in your life, and it stays with you. Then that's when you know how you have met that, learned that topic, and then you go to the next one. That's how Papanko Rinpoche explained how you go through the Lamrim topics and become familiar with it, and you integrate it. So That's one of the 5 powers. Familiarization. By going over and over and over again, the Lamrim topics, or the 7-point mind training, or the completion and generation stages of Tantra. Those are the, that's one of the 5 powers, the power of familiarization, the 5 powers for life. So that's why analytical meditation is one of the most important things that you need to do in Buddhist practice. You know, mantras, it's great to recite mantras, it's great to go to pujas, it's great to walk around the stupa, walk around the gampa, whatever. Excuse me. But if you don't integrate the teachings, then it's more difficult to advance on the path. You will, in other words, the method side of your practice is very strong, but we need to also integrate the wisdom side of your practice. And that's what it says in the Lamrim Chenmo. Great Jesus down the stages path to enlightenment. At the importance of both wings, wisdom and method, or merit, accumulating merit. And you have to accumulate merit for eons and eons in order to attain liberation. But we also can't, forget our wisdom, the wisdom practice, because we also need that. Example of that, for example, is generosity. I know someone who gave $700 to her friend because she needed it. The banks wouldn't lend her any money, and she needed it for something, I don't know what it was. And she, expected her to give it back, but she never did. And so it's just like, you want to practice generosity, but you can also do it mentally. You can give without expectation, but if you want to, do something like if you're expecting some money back, then it probably wasn't a complete, good practice of generosity, because then after that, anger might arise, resentment might arise, and so forth. So, it might be called, people call it idiot compassion. So, and we need to have wisdom and compassion in order to practice the 6 perfections. And that's the 6 perfections and training the 4 ways to gather disciples that help others to mature. Training in the 6 cause and 1 effect, personal instruction has been great, Elder Tisha. Training, exchanging self and others, and that's practiced by Shantideva. Those are the Mahayana practice. Those are the practices for the persons of great capacity. So that's why they're so difficult to attain. So in other words, that's why analytical meditation and stabilizing meditation are so important. Okay, so I think that now we're getting close to the end. So I'm sorry we didn't set our let's see. Okay, I'm sorry we didn't do the refuge and bodhicitta prayer in the beginning. So let me see. We can dedicate, and that's on page 246 in the Gold Prayer Book. So I'm going to share this screen. Okay. And this is from Guided the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. His Holiness abbreviated it, took some excerpts from it. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain a notion of happiness and joy by virtue of our merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or befall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, with the mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, or as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Okay, and then the Long Life Prayer for His Holiness, page 244. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you're the source of all happiness and good. All powerful Chenrei Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. And then Long Life Prayer for Cancer Rinpoche Jesam Losam Dalek, the one who mastered speech at a very young age, the one with great patience received the name Alatare, the one in great precision who spared the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa and Bliss and Void, Lama, ornament of the yellow hat tradition, please remain until samsara ends. Now on the back cover of the Gold Prayer Book, you find the prayer for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, written by His Holiness, peerless teacher and assembly of the children, victorious one, Shravakats and Prateka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters. All the objects of refuge of the infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now. Holding and spreading Muni's precious and complete teachings through explanation and practice, where the arm of patience that is never discouraged, incomparable venerable Guru, to you I make request, while striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and from other living beings who suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in glory for fortunate disciples. And then 7 Tara mantras for Geshe-la and Geshe Sample's long, happy, healthy lives. Om Tare Tu Re Soha. 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 Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone on Zoom. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you on YouTube.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Bye.